Hey y'all, welcome back. How are you doing? How's your January going? Are all the things you set out to do what you're doing? Are you experiencing the newness of life? How's it going? I am going to talk to you today about something fantastic, and I think it's right on time. I have set goals, many goals over the years, obviously, and I have accomplished many of them. And then I find myself having lots of goals that just kind of sit in queue. And there's a recent goal that I made that was kind of like that. It was like, you ever had one of those goals where it's always been a goal, but you've actually never taken action on it? And your brain is like, yeah, I'm going to do that. And then you don't do it. That's what one of these goals were for me. But it was so cool to watch myself just make it an actual thing just out of nowhere. And what I mean by that is it had been a goal in queue forever. And then I just did it. And I thought it would be super valuable to talk to you about how do you get yourself to do something new. I thought about and reflected on this specific goal and then compared it to other goals that I've had. And I thought, what is the simplest way that I can share with you how to get yourself to do something new? Because I know that you have things that you've been wanting to do, that you've been wanting to move forward with, and they've just kind of been sitting in queue. And I want to talk to you about that today. And if you take this and decide, I want you to decide in this moment, we're going to talk about decisions in a minute, but decide that this is it. Regina's going to share with me how I get myself to do something new. They're going to be very clear, tangible steps, and I'm going to do them, try them out, see how it goes. And the reason why I'm sharing that is because, as you know, I've said this several times before, we don't want to just listen and consume. We want to create, right? You want to take what I'm sharing with you and put it into action. That's the only way that you're going to create different results. So let's get started, shall we? The first step in getting yourself to do something new is to decide and be specific in that decision. I find with my clients that this is often the most difficult part because our brain likes to stay in indecision. Our brain likes to think of these things that we want, but not actually take action on them. And oftentimes we confuse thinking about something, wondering about it, contemplating, weighing the pros and cons and doing research and all of these, so many things that we could be doing as a decision. And it's not. A decision is an action, right? There's no confusion. It's something specific that we just do, right? So when you get up in the morning, that is a decision to get out of your bed, make a phone call, have a conversation, right? Change where you live, change your job, whatever it might be. You haven't done it until you have decided. And I'd like to start here because if we aren't clear on this, that there's indecision, there's thinking about it, there's contemplating, there's dragging this out, this is what causes people not to get started because they're not even aware that their struggle is the decision. This decision must be made first. And our brain will get confused. Is this right? Will it work out? We want to decide. So you know it's a decision if you're very clear about what it is. So my example is I'm going to wake up at 5 a.m. That was the goal that I had. Now what's interesting is even when I said that, it really wasn't a decision until I made it happen. It was still an idea, right? Still something I wanted to do. As a matter of fact, in 2025, so we're in 26 now, most of 25, this had been something I've been thinking about. Like, man, I want to get up a lot earlier. Now, I have worked nights for a long time in my first career in nursing. And so for 5 years, I was full-time night shift. And let's see, that was up until June 24. And it's so interesting watching myself now, up until I made this decision, decide that it's just too hard because I've worked nights for so long and it's so hard to get back on that schedule. And I still, when I pick up my PRN gig, my as needed, every now and again I'll work a night shift, and I've let that be the reason why I can't wake up at 5 a.m. And so what's been so interesting is just watching that duality there. But my goal was to wake up at 5 a.m. I have two reasons for that. One, there was this new group coaching container that I was in, and I think they're all based in the UK. And so their coaching calls like 10 a.m. for them, 5 a.m. for me. And I didn't want to miss out on that. And then also there is a gym class that I want to start taking. It's 2 times a week. And I'd say actually it'd probably be a third reason too, because I feel like me waking up earlier, because I'm naturally a early person, would make me feel better. And I'd have more time for things I want to do, like this podcast. There is the quiet of a 7:30 a.m. wake up, and there's the quiet of a 5 a.m. wake up, right? So those are my reasons, but that is the goal that I had. Now, you might be thinking about, well, what is my goal? I mean, really think about this. Waking up an hour early for yourself, right? Do you want to have a specific day for rest? Are there certain things that you only want to do on certain days? I was coaching a client that found herself constantly deep cleaning, and it was really causing a lot of overwhelm and stress and taking a lot of her time with other things and working through what does it look like to have a specific day where she does this deep cleaning? What would she have to allow? What would she have to be able to work through, right? No social media before a certain time or after a certain time. Saying no to extra work, at your job. Saying no to your family members asking for money. No calls after 10 p.m. Starting a business, changing a job, right? Like there's so many ideas, and the world is extreme. It's like our canvas. As long as you are breathing, it is always possible to start something new, right? Stop gossiping with certain people. Oh my gosh, I notice I'm on the phone all the time talking about other people. Maybe you want to stop that. Feeling better in general, just to naturally, I just want to feel better my day to day. That is a goal, right? So think about that, like in your life with your kids, your relationship with them, your partner, your friends. If you have a business, maybe you want to switch up your marketing strategy, right? Maybe you want to come up with different topics. You want to have a process of things, whatever it might be. Like this literally could be anything. Be thinking about your goal. And the first step is to decide. Decide what that is and decide what you're going to do. Now, with this decision, we also want to decide when. Our brain likes to put things off until tomorrow. Tomorrow, next week, next Monday, next month, next year. We've all done it. And the reason why is because it feels a lot better for your brain to put something off that is new and uncomfortable. And this is why people can get super excited at the beginning of goals, but not actually see them through. There is something to be said about creating a finite thing. And oftentimes we think we give ourselves more time and that's going to make it easier. It actually doesn't. When we say, okay, well, it's the middle of January, and I am going to February 1 start this thing. Now you absolutely can. And I always challenge, what's the difference of starting it now? Typically we're thinking that time is going to help us be on board. It's going to be better. It's going to be easier. It's going to be more comfortable. But actually just giving yourself 2-3 weeks of overthinking, of talking yourself out of it, because your brain isn't going to want to do it. So typically I absolutely set a definite date, and ideally sooner than later, because there usually isn't a really legit, smart, makes sense reason to put things off. So notice if your brain is doing that, all right? Second step, expect and work through resistance. What I mean when I say resistance is your brain not wanting to do the thing. And it shows up in many different ways. But even if it's a good goal, even if you're like, I know logically this would really help me, your brain will most likely resist it, because our brain is not set up for us to thrive in this life and do all the amazing things. Our brain is set up to look for and get rid of fear. Your brain wants to conserve energy. It wants to avoid pain, emotional pain, right? The emotional pain you would have to feel of doing the things. And it wants to seek pleasure. This is why in this day and age, it's really difficult to get ourselves to do something new, to stop doing things that aren't helpful, because your brain is getting that dopamine hit. Social media, food, it's everywhere, and everything is at our fingertips. So it's really easy for our brains to take over these days, because our world is just set up to really feed that part of our brain. When we procrastinate, when our brain just wants to be efficient, do the same thing every day, it does not care. So it will continue to put things off. All right. This isn't about a logical standpoint. Logically, you may know this is great for me. I need to do this. This is just how the brain works. And it's important for you to expect that and work through it, because when you don't know this about your brain and you start having this resistance, you will believe it and let it kind of drag you along. But when you know, oh yeah, this, Regina said, this is how my brain works, this is what happens, then you're more equipped to deal with it in the moment. Okay. In the moment of you doing something different, your brain alarms go off like, well, there's a problem. We got to solve it right now. It literally looks at it like something dangerous is happening, just because of the way that it's set up. So expect that. Things like, this isn't the right time. Tomorrow will be better. Oh, it doesn't matter anyway. I don't know if I can do it, right? There's no way. So with my goal with getting up at 5 a.m., my resistance was, I've worked nights for so long. It's going to be so hard to switch over, right? I actually circumstantially go to sleep late. And so why would I go to sleep? Why would I try to get up at 5 a.m. if I'm up sometimes at 1 a.m.? Like, that's not healthy, and this and that. Like, all these different logical reasons too that my brain would give me. With the workout class, I don't like working out. I do not enjoy currently in my life going to the gym, right? And so my brain's offering me that. I'm going to be too tired because I wake up late. So how can I wake up in the morning that's going to affect my day with my kids, homeschooling, coaching my clients? No way. Like, I can't wake up that early. That would be a problem for them. And it really gets into this all or nothing thinking, right? Well, if I'm not consistent, then it doesn't matter anyway. And historically, I haven't been consistent. So, yeah, right? So just notice the thoughts that your brain offers you. When you decide to do something and then you don't do it, I want you to ask yourself why. In that moment, there was a belief that your brain offered you, and then you took it and ran with it, because what we think, what we are thinking, drives our actions. Okay. And these are negative emotions that come up. All of the thoughts that I gave you around my 5 a.m. wake up created negative emotion. Tired, right? And you can be emotionally tired. And obviously, this would be a physical tired too, because I'm not used to getting up early. Frustrated, a bit overwhelmed, thinking about, oh my gosh, how am I going to wake up at 5 a.m. and have a full day with my kids and work? And right, that creates overwhelm for me. Confusion. Our brain loves to indulge in confusion, because if I don't know how to solve a problem, well, then I don't need to go and try to fix it, right? So my brain loves to go to confusion on a topic. How am I going to make a 5 a.m. work? Will I really be able to get to this class? What about this? What about that? Like, all of these thoughts that my brain offers me, and now all of a sudden I'm overwhelmed with those, and I just decide to put it off, right? Disconnected. My brain takes me to all the reasons this isn't going to work out. And so I don't feel connected to the goal. That further drives the resistance and negative experience that I'm going to have while doing this thing, right? And so just notice when your brain is offering you negative thoughts and reasons why not to do the thing. And this is a skill. It's a skill to be able to feel, unmotivated, confused, defeated, doubt, right? Whatever that negative emotion that comes up for you when you think about starting that new thing, it is a skill to, one, work through it, but then two, be able to feel it and still take action, right? Because in order for you to be successful on this new goal, this new thing, you've got to have the skill of taking action even when you emotionally and mentally don't feel like it. Because we just can't have it be, oh my God, I feel so excited and I'm so ready every single time we are doing something, especially if it's something new for your brain. So it's a skill that you want to develop. The third step is deciding what you want to believe on purpose about that thing, right? Your brain will always take you to the cost of doing the new thing, the negative cost, right? Like, oh my God, this is going to affect my day, right? With my 5 a.m. wake up. I'm not going to feel like going. It's winter. It's cold. I'm going to be so tired at night. Man, I'm going to miss out on being up super late because I've got to be able to go to sleep early. Oh man, then I won't be able to get things done because now I'm going to sleep shortly after the kids. How will I get things done? Right? My brain, your brain is always going to bring you to the negative parts of doing the thing. This is where we have to step into leadership and decide on purpose what we want to believe about doing the thing. And most people don't know this, but you get to decide what you believe about everything. There is nothing that you aren't deciding is true about any topic. It doesn't matter how you grew up, what you were told, any of that. In this moment, you are deciding either consciously or subconsciously to believe a certain thing. And so this is great news because you can change your mind. You can decide to believe different things. So what we want to be doing is noticing what our brain offers us in those moments that we are deciding to believe about this goal that will make it easier for us to get into that action. So for me, this 5 a.m. wake up, right, it allows me to do things in this different complete silence than the 7:30 a.m. that I typically wake up. It allows me to get coached, right? Because I'm able to hop on the group coaching call. Obviously, moving my body is very important for not only my current self, but my future self, taking care of that version of myself and being able to do that and get back home before the day essentially starts for my family. So it's not like I'm dragging my kids along and all of that, which is fine if I needed and wanted to do that, but I'd rather make it easier for me and just go and have my time and then get back home. So that's a benefit. Takes care of my future self, as I said, right? Like the things we do today is setting up ourselves a year from now, 5 years from now, 10 years from now, And also because one thing that I noticed that my brain was telling me was, oh my gosh, I can't get up at 5 a.m. because I'm up so late and I've got to start going to bed earlier. And that has been something I've been telling myself for a long time. Whereas I had this thought, which actually I think is one of the main thoughts that drove me to actually make this happen, was, okay, wait, I can wait until I start going to bed earlier and do this, sure. Or I can make myself get up early, which would make me essentially tireder at night, which means I would be forced eventually, as the lack of sleep and the tiredness and the lack of energy built up, I would essentially probably automatically start wanting to go to sleep earlier because I'm making myself get up earlier, right? It's like, which comes first, the chicken or the egg, And so that was a thought that was very interesting. My brain wanted to wait until I just went to bed early, although I haven't done that in years, versus just because I don't go to bed early doesn't mean I can't wake up early. And will that actually cause me to go to sleep earlier, right? Just like playing these games with our brain and shifting thoughts and turning them upside down can actually create a different energy. So in this third step, you want to decide what you want to believe and what you're going to believe on purpose. Now, your brain will continue to offer you these thoughts, but the stronger and the better you get at noticing those thoughts and in that moment, turning them around, questioning them, right? It's going to be so hard to get it up at 5 a.m. That's what my brain tells me, right? And it's like, well, have I tried it? That was initially how I got myself to shake this. Have I tried it? When was the last time I got up at 5 a.m.? What else do I do on a daily basis that's hard? Asking myself questions and really thinking about, wait a minute, this is for my future self. I want to believe that I can do this. Some of us have to start there. It's possible for me to make this happen. That's a very powerful thought. If you currently are like, it's absolutely not something I'll ever do. It's possible because it's not saying that you're going to do it, but it helps you kind of shift a little bit. In coaching, I call them thought ladders. Sometimes it's hard to get from, I never, ever, ever will be able to do this thing to, oh my God, it's perfect. I know I can do it tomorrow. That is a big jump. So often we want to look for different thoughts that we already have that maybe just aren't as strong, that we can emotionally connect to. And that's the difference between positive affirmations and mantras versus finding a thought that you can believe. It's not about, I can do it, I can do it, I can do it, when you 0% think you can do it. It's about, what is that thought that I already have within me that I can believe a little bit. It's not as strong as maybe this one I've been thinking, but I can move towards it. So I knew that it was possible for me to get up at 5 a.m. And that kind of opened the door a little bit for my brain to then go, because one thing your brain will do is go and find evidence for the thoughts you're believing, right? So it opened up the door for my brain to then go, okay, well, how could it be possible? What would need to happen, right? And so anything you're choosing to believe, just as the negative thoughts that I had around my 5 a.m. wake up, my brain finds evidence for that. But it also happens on the flip side. When I start thinking about the positives of this thing, my brain will then help me and help you to find those positive thoughts that you already have and look for some evidence to help you shift into that. Now, this fourth one is a spinoff of deciding what you want to believe, but I feel it's so important that I wanted to make it its own step, because I think this is the difference between, this is the difference of how long it'll take you to take action. This is the difference of the difficulty in how in taking action on the goal. And that is building your desire for the new thing you want to do. Our brain is set up to automatically and without any effort share with us the negatives of doing something new. The things that might go wrong, why it's not a great idea, why it's going to be so hard, why it won't work. You don't have to work hard on finding the negatives in a situation. Your brain is wired to do that because it's wired to protect you and to look for danger any and everywhere. And it doesn't know the difference between danger of an actual, oh my God, someone's chasing me, about to kill me, and the danger of feeling this very uncomfortable emotion that's required for you to do something new that actually isn't harmful at all. Your brain sees them as the same. And so your brain easily does that. So this fourth step is really important because you have to decide on purpose to do this. Building the desire for the new thing that you want. Our brain tells us all the reasons and the negative cost of doing the thing and all the hardness and all the things. What I want you to think about is two things. The first one is probably obvious, but I want you to think about how often you take your brain there, and it probably isn't very often, because if you don't have the skill of directing your brain on purpose, this is not something you typically do. But that is taking your brain to, what is the benefit of doing this new thing? Intentionally spending time and focusing your awareness on that. And so for me, my energy would increase if I got up at 5 a.m. and especially moving my body, and I'm being more present throughout the day because I've gotten that in. Increase in body health, obviously. Healing in many different ways, right? There's so much research around getting more sleep, which is eventually what would happen if I'm getting up early. I'll have more energy for the things that I'm doing throughout the day. We homeschool, I run a business, I have family, I have lots of connection time. We are often in the community. There's so much that I could definitely use more energy for, right? Because I'm sleeping well now because I'm getting up so early. And I think about me getting up early causes me to eventually, when that catches up, I'm going to have to go to sleep earlier. And we know that that's a good thing for my body, for my mental, for my emotional health, right? Then I thought about what's the benefits for other people. So for my kids, right? Because if I'm going to be getting up earlier and eventually going to sleep earlier, that means they do too. We homeschool, so it's super easy to kind of stay up late a lot of the times. And so that would be a positive benefit for them to definitely go to bed earlier because I'm going to be going to bed earlier. I thought about my husband. He often will work late or work until the night at least. And then when he comes home, if I'm still up, he usually stays up with me until I go to sleep and before he starts doing some of his other projects, where if I'm going to sleep earlier, then he can essentially get home and get started on those things earlier, and he might be able to go to sleep sooner. So I'm thinking about the different benefits of not just myself and my body, but like how does that positively affect other people? And I want you to think about that with your goal, with the thing you want to do. What are the positive effects of you doing that thing? And there's so many, right? Like I can spend forever thinking about the positive benefits of me getting up at 5 a.m. on my business, on my life experience, on my health, my body, and on the people within this house. I think clearer. So how does that affect everything? Business, taking care of our home, my kids, right? Like how does that affect that? Everything cascades. So you want to spend time thinking about what is the benefit? Why would I choose to do this? Why am I even thinking about it? What's possible on the other side? Being that person that does do it. You really want to build that up. This second question is so interesting that oftentimes when I work with my clients and we spend time on this question, it shifts everything. So I don't want you to miss it. You want to be thinking about, our brain tells us, oh my gosh, the negative things of doing the hard thing, doing this new thing, right? The one is thinking about, wait, what are the benefits of those things? How is this actually great for me and my life and what I want? And this next question is, what is the cost of not doing it? This is not something we often think about because our brain takes us to reasons why we shouldn't do it and we think we're getting a payoff. But what's so interesting is if you spend time thinking about that new thing that your brain keeps taking you to that you want to try, thinking of the cost of not doing it will blow your mind. So when I thought about this and I thought, okay, what is the cost of me not deciding to wake up early and do these things? I came up with some really interesting things that I definitely didn't want to happen. Some of those being, one, if I don't do this, I'm further driving my belief that I can't wake up early. I'm further driving the beliefs that I can't go to sleep early. I've been attached to this thought of like, oh, I worked night shift for so many years. And it becomes realer and realer for me the more I keep giving energy into it, which makes it more difficult to ever start. Whereas me working night shift regularly may actually have an impact on me getting up. But I also had evidence that it didn't. When I was working night shift 3 nights a week, I still got up at 7:30 on my other days because it was important to me to not sleep those days away. So I already had proof that that actually wasn't true. That because I work nights, I can't get up early. But because I was allowing myself to believe that, that kept pushing me further and further into not doing the thing. Some other cost of not doing it, not getting better in my health, right? Not taking care of my body, obviously have lots of negative effects on me now, on me later, on the body that I'm in, on the way my body looks and how I love it or don't, on my energy levels, right? I'm going to have decreased energy. I'm going to continue to have decreased energy because it's not like going to sleep late and waking up at 7:30 is giving me loads of energy, right? Me going to sleep late has a negative effect on my life and my energy and things that I'm doing. I also thought about I would lose out on a big part of this investment I made, this group coaching that I really want to be a part of, that's going to help me show up better in my life and my business. I'm missing out on that by not doing this. And then I can even take that further. Well, if I'm missing out on that, then how does that affect things? I pay for something. I'm not learning the skills that I want to learn. So I'm not solving these problems that are in my personal and business life that I want to solve. How does that affect my personal life? How does that affect my life as a mom, as a wife, right? As a sister, as a community partner, as a coach? How does it affect me to not learn those skills? I'm going to continue to struggle to find the time to do more of what I want to do because I keep further driving this belief, oh, I can't because. And if I'm struggling to find the time to do more of what I want to do, then what else am I missing on? What are the other things that I will potentially want to be able to do that I'm not even allowing my brain to think about? Because I'm used to believing this about myself, right? So everything has a cascade effect, and we want to think about that. I don't expand my reach or do more of what I really want to do. I've really struggled to show up in my podcast here because I haven't created the time for it, because I've been putting things off. But what will be possible if I was going to sleep earlier, was getting up earlier, and did have lots of ample time to do these kinds of things throughout the week, right? In the space and the environment that I wanted to. So what's the cost of not doing it? So I'm not showing up in the podcast the way I want to, right? I have so much that I want to share, so many ideas, and they constantly come to me at 11:30 a.m. when I'm in the midst of either coaching or homeschooling, right? Whereas if I'm waking up early, what's possible there? So I want to really hone in that thinking about the cost of not doing the new thing, the cost of on your life, the cost on the people's lives around you, the cost on your future, the things you want to do, how that thing is affecting other things. You really want to go down the rabbit hole, because what happens is when we can think about the reasons we can't do something and why it's too hard, but oftentimes when we think about what are we actually missing out on by not taking action on the thing, that can get our brain on board. Like, oh, I got to fix this now. I got to do this now, right? So to recap, to do new things, we want to decide specifically, clearly what we're going to do. We want to expect our brain to resist, because that's what brains do, and work through it. We want to decide on purpose what we want to believe about the goal, about the new thing we're doing. And then we want to build desire for that new thing. All of these require skill. They require you to be onto yourself. They require you to have the capability of leaning in and doing sometimes hard things. If this has been valuable for you, I want to invite you to my masterclass, the first this year, on this topic, where I'm going to go deeper into each one of these. I'm going to be doing coaching. I'm going to help people figure out their new thing and how they can do their new thing, what's getting in the way of that new thing that you want to do, what's getting in the way of you actually showing up for yourself, which one of these are harder than the other, and helping you work through that for yourself. We are going to be doing this masterclass on January 31st at 7 p.m. I will leave the sign up link in the show notes. And this is really valuable for anyone who is, if you are tired of putting things off, if you want 2026 to actually be a new year for you, a new experience for you, if you've been thinking about doing some things but you can't get yourself to do them, if you've tried and you've stopped, right? If you continue to procrastinate, if you are not showing up right now in your life, doing new things, expanding, stretching yourself, and feeling the fullness of life, you want to be at this masterclass. I am going to help you get to the bottom of what's getting in the way for you, and I'm going to show you what you need to do to move forward. It's going to be a great use of your time. I am excited to host this, and I would love to see you there. Sign up in the link, and I'll see you then.